Do you press the skip intro button whenever you're binging your favorite sitcoms? Let me convince you not to. In this video, I'm going to talk about the music in 21st century American sitcoms. I'm going to take you through why the absence and presence of music in these shows adds to the comfort viewers feel when watching these shows. By the end of the video, hopefully you'll be able to see how the music in 21st century American sitcoms keep the show light so the viewer doesn't feel as deeply. This is in opposition to TV drama music, where the music is used to guide the viewer's emotions throughout the episode. Music in sitcoms is either added to satirize or neutralize the emotions in the scene. The music being analyzed in this paper falls only under the label of non-diegetic music. This means that the theme and background music cannot be heard by the characters because the music does not exist within the world of the show. I split these shows into mockumentary style and traditional style sitcoms. Mockumentary style is the show in the form of a documentary, where the characters interact with the film crew by looking at the cameras or answering interview questions. Then there's traditional style sitcoms, where it's just a group of people who are interacting with each other and the presence of the cameras is not acknowledged within the world of the show. So in mockumentary style, the theme song is the sole musical component to the show. Because it's the only presence of music within the show, it signifies the show's subject and direction. Theme songs of traditional style sitcoms create a neutral sound so that they can use this sound throughout transition and background music later on in the episode. Theme songs serve as portraits of the show's characters and overarching narrative. So by examining the melody, instrumentation, and lyrics, it's clear that each show's theme song functions as an entryway to the sitcom's universe. Whether the melody accentuates the characters or the harmonies, theme songs are used to immerse the viewer in the world of the sitcom. In this first subsection, the melody line heavily represents the show's main character. So starting with New Girl, which is the most obvious example of this version. New Girl is a show where a group of 30-year-old roommates living in Los Angeles, and the main character is named Jessica Day. She's a quirky and fun person who lives with 3 or 4 other guys. She has strange and playful habits that stand out against the more masculine environment that she is a part of. In the first few seasons, the theme song features Zooey Deschanel singing about her character Jess. Within this title scene, there is literal scene building, where the characters move props around Jess as she walks through the set. This concept adds to the idea that theme songs are used to build the world of the sitcom and immerse the viewer in the show's environment before it truly starts. The Office is a mockumentary-style sitcom following an ordinary workplace with ordinary people who work together, exposing their quirks. Most of the characters are normal, although Michael Scott is a very unconventional and sometimes obnoxious character. Michael Scott feels out of place within the normal and everyday office that the show takes place in. This description pairs perfectly with the theme song, with piano, drums, and bass, but after 4 measures, a melodica enters the tune. The melodica is clearly the focal point of the song, and because it feels so disjointed from the rest of the piece, I see it as Michael Scott's character. Parks and Rec is another sitcom that takes place in a work environment. The characters work together at the City Hall in the Department of Parks and Recreation. This show follows the same structure as The Office, where quirky characters are shown working together, performing mundane tasks. Leslie Knope is the main character in this show. She's a devoted public servant who is portrayed as an over-the-top friend to everyone. In the Parks and Rec theme song, there is an ensemble of wind instruments with a peppy melody line featuring a tenor saxophone. This tenor saxophone can be heard as Leslie Knope, because even when all the background music comes together, the saxophone still stands out as the most memorable part of the theme. This next subsection is about a duet theme and duet main characters. Starting with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a show featuring detectives in a New York City precinct. Jake Peralta and Captain Holt are the main characters in this show. They navigate a working relationship together. This dual main character storyline that leads the show is apparent in the theme song as well. In this full pep band theme, there are two instruments that take center stage, the alto saxophone and the electric bass. These two instruments sound like they're having a conversation, with Jake Peralta's silly and loud persona represented through the alto sax, and Holt's commanding and monotone voice represented through the bass. These two characters are constantly bickering, so when the theme song plays and you hear these two instruments within the theme, it makes sense to compare them to the relationship of Holt and Peralta. Then we have 30 Rock, which is a satirical sitcom that follows the chaotic life of Liz Lemon. Liz Lemon is the head writer of a fictional sketch comedy show, and we see her navigate the absurdities of showbiz, along with her eccentric colleagues and demanding boss. The theme of 30 Rock is a lively and upbeat instrumental piece that sets the tone for the show's fast-paced nature. In this composition, it follows the same melody idea as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where there seems to be an exchange between higher and lower melody lines. The theme song introduces this series effectively by portraying Executive Jack Donaghy's witty and ruthless persona through the throbbing bass of the trombone, and Liz Lemon's awkward and self-deprecating image through the whimsical woodwind and vocal melody line. This back and forth banter that the differing motifs perform work as a compelling introduction to each episode where the characters act in a similar way. In this next subsection, we'll talk about ensemble cast and ensemble theme. I think Modern Family is the best example of this, where it's a sitcom that shows branches of a family who frequently get together and interact with one another. This show has no main character, which is heard throughout the theme song as well. This theme song has a Latin feel to it that involves many different types of instruments, so the ensemble feel of the cast continues on into the ensemble feel of the theme song. The family consists of a lot of differing and clashing personalities with a Modern Family structure, so the chaotic nature of the theme makes sense and introduces the show very nicely. Community also follows this structure. The show follows a group of students at a community college as they navigate friendship and romance while forming an unlikely bond through their shared experiences. The theme song that accompanies Community is an uplifting tune that acquaints viewers with the ensemble cast. This show, unlike most of the shows that I've talked about, have lyrics that mean something within the world of the show. The lyrics describe the way the characters come together, so they don't have to go through their challenges alone. The catchy theme sets the stage for a humorous story, with heartwarming aspects of friendship and romance. It's Always Sunny also does this. It's Always Sunny is a dark comedy series that follows the adventures of 5 dysfunctional, self-absorbed friends while they try to save their dying Irish pub located in Philadelphia. The theme song for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia features a full band of strings and woodwinds with occasional hits of a bell. The way the instruments work together to create a complete sounding piece mirrors the ensemble cast that is depicted. The way the instruments work together to create a complete sounding piece mirrors the ensemble cast that is depicted through the chaotic friend group that the show presents. Schitt's Creek is another sitcom that is about the Rose family as they transition from their uber-wealthy lifestyle to residing in 2 rooms at a roadside motel together. All 4 members of the Rose family contribute equally to the plot and storyline. This observation is evident through the theme song as well. The bombastic brassiness in this theme nods to the wealthy beginnings of this family, and the juxtaposition of the showy theme song with the modest setting of Schitt's Creek mirrors the character's own transformation, highlighting the contrast between their past and current situations. The Good Place may seem like it should fit into melody line and main character, but considering the structure of the theme song, it is revealed to fit in this pattern a bit differently. The Good Place follows the morally questionable Eleanor Shellstrop as she navigates afterlife, posing as a good person in a designed utopia, only to uncover the complexities of ethics and redemption. As the show unravels, even in just the first season, the cast turns into more of an ensemble instead of one main character. Unlike the other shows in this section, the theme nods to having only one main character, with the clarinet taking the melody line. There's a clear melody in this theme song, and because there isn't a clear main character in the show, that leads to this being the first outlier in my argument. This also ends up happening in New Girl. Main storyline of Jess Day becomes intertwined with just showing pieces of the guy's life. So when they change the theme song in season 3 or season 4 to be just instrumental and to take Zooey Deschanel's vocals away, it makes more sense within this pattern, as the show became more of an ensemble cast and didn't single out one character to revolve the whole story around, which means that the theme then reflected this. So there was not just one melody line that represented the main character that the show was truly about. Throughout this next section, I will talk about two types of sitcoms, mockumentary style and traditional style. Mockumentary style is where there's a film crew that interacts with the characters, as if it's a real documentary. Mockumentaries are supposed to feel very real, as if the characters are real people, leading real lives, rather than characters in a show. In these types of sitcoms, most likely the only non-diegetic music within the show is the theme song. This adds to the realness of the show because with no background music, the show feels less produced. Absence of music in mockumentaries is meant to enhance the sense of realism for the viewer, while the presence of music in traditional style sitcoms acts as a buffer, maintaining a comfortable distance from the character's emotions. By categorizing the background music of each episode according to its emotional tone, which ranges from neutral to sentimental to tense, I want to show you how the music shapes the viewer's perception of the narrative throughout the series. Specifically, when background music aligns with the theme song or adopts a neutral tone, its purpose is to immerse the viewer within the world of the show without evoking too strong an emotional response, which preserves the sense of comfort and familiarity that we seek from sitcoms in general. In this first subsection, I'll talk about mockumentaries with no transition music. The two that I found are The Office and Parks and Recreation. These are both considered mockumentary-style sitcoms because of their talking heads interviews and subtle looks at the documentary crew. In both shows, the transitions go by without music and the scenes go by without music. This absence of non-diegetic music is intended to maintain a sense of realness that the show is meant to portray. Because the premise of these shows are about ordinary people in ordinary spaces that you could see yourself being in, the viewer is supposed to feel more connected to these people. Then there's traditional style sitcoms with transition music. Each of these shows use music to transition from scene to scene and music in the background. The juxtaposition of potentially dramatic scenes with neutral music is very typical of sitcoms because it's a way to maintain a sense of reliable comfort for the viewer as they watch their favorite show. Throughout most episodes of New Girl, there is a consistently neutral feel to it, but this shifts notably in the finale. In the pilot episode, Jess moves into her new apartment with her new roommates. They all go to a party, then rescue Jess from a restaurant where she got stood up by her date. Some viewers might relate too deeply to this scene, so the music remains mostly neutral to keep the complicated emotions at bay. Even in an episode like Girl Fight, where tensions between characters escalate, the music only briefly reflects the emotional depth of conflict and resolution, then reverts back to its expected neutral tone. However, in the finale, titled Ingram Petersky, the background music takes a turn, where it tries to resonate with the audience's attachment to the characters and storyline, which supports the argument that sitcoms often reserve more sentimental and emotional music for their finales, and enhancing the closure of a beloved show. In Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the use of tense music serves a similar purpose to neutral music within the context of the show. Unlike in other settings, where tense music might heighten the suspense, in this precinct-based comedy, it often functions as a neutral backdrop. Across the episodes I analyzed, the pilot and an arbitrary episode in the middle of the series, tense music makes up over a quarter of the soundtrack. However, its presence does not necessarily dictate the overall tone, which remains largely neutral. The series finale, The Last Day Part 2, is no longer overly neutral. As the characters say their goodbyes to each other and embark on new chapters of their lives, the music takes on a more emotional role. By using a soundtrack with emotional resonance, the finale delivers a fitting conclusion to the series, while also giving a heartfelt goodbye to its fans. Community embraces different tones of music by blending multiple tones and genres to enhance its storytelling. In an average episode, viewers hear various music cues, along with the steady neutral tone that is set for most of the episode. The finale episode allows for more diverse emotional tones in the music, as the characters reminisce over their time at community college. In a meta twist that is inherently very Community, they imagine what their final episode would look like if they were on a sitcom within the show itself. This narrative allows for many different emotions to be explored, as each character's vision of the finale is played out. The finale episode here stands out for its notably sentimental tone. By embracing sentimentality in the soundtrack of the finale, Community further proves the argument that sitcoms hold off on their emotional background music until the finale, where they deliver an unforgettable conclusion to the show. Then we have 30 Rock, which is another prime example of a sitcom that strategically employs background music to both enhance storytelling and allow for emotional separation, with a big shift in tone in the series finale. Throughout the series, the show maintains a predominantly neutral and light musical atmosphere, complementing its fast-paced humor and witty dialogue. However, in the finale episode titled Last Lunch, the music takes on more emotional resonance as the characters navigate their final day on set. Sentimental conversations and heartfelt goodbyes, underscored by music that carries a subtle emotional weight. Moments that might have been accompanied by neutral background music in previous episodes now resonate with a tinge of nostalgia, serving as a reminder for the show's conclusion. This last subsection is another outlier subsection, and The Good Place is still an outlier. This show stands out for its nuanced use of background music. Unlike conventional sitcoms that often employ lighthearted music, The Good Place embraces a more dramatic approach to its musical score. This is evident in how the show seamlessly integrates music to underscore the emotional depth of its characters. The Good Place blurs the lines between genres, incorporating elements of comedy, drama, and even fantasy. This hybrid nature allows for the show to experiment with its background music, drawing from a diverse range of tones. Because the show has more twists and turns as opposed to other sitcoms, the role of background music is to create a more immersive experience rather than to keep the viewer comfortable. Another outlier is Modern Family. Modern Family is a mockumentary-style sitcom, but it uses non-diegetic music a little differently. Throughout each episode, this show runs the same way that a typical mockumentary-style sitcom would run. But once we get to the last minute of the episode, the viewer's met with a montage of clips of the family members, along with a heartwarming voiceover and sentimental background music. Following the argument that mockumentary sitcoms avoid background music to accentuate the realness within the show, it is understood that when music is used at the end of each Modern Family episode, the goal is to leave the viewer with an important message about family or love or relationships.
There may be some bumps along the way, but we never stop wanting the best for them. That's what makes it such a tough job. Kind of the best job in the world.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia also uses music in an interesting way. I found that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia uses background music to satirize certain scenes. In the season 8 episode, The Gang Gets Analyzed, Dee brings all her friends to her therapy appointment after a fight they had about the dishes. In this episode, there are 2 instances of satirical background music. While Charlie talks to the therapist about why he thinks he's weird, Charlie introduces the therapist to his dead pigeon. During this scene, there is uplifting and joyful music being played in the background. The juxtaposition of Charlie's disturbing story and the joyful music makes for a pretty funny combination.
The pigeon.
This one, let him be who he wants. Let him fly away. Go! He's dead, I think.
In the next scene, Frank talks to the therapist about his strangely upsetting childhood. He explains the experiences he had when he was younger as an overly dramatic violin piece is played in the background.
Frank?
It was terrible. But not her. She was an angel. Always smiling. That's because she had no lips.
So this sitcom to me is really interesting in the way it uses its music. Instead of trying to neutralize the upsetting nature of these stories, they use an opposite feeling of music or an overly dramatized version of the emotion that they're portraying to make it even more ridiculous. Schitt's Creek is another outlier. While maintaining the traditional sitcom format without acknowledging the presence of a camera crew, the show distinguishes itself through its unique approach to music. Unlike typical sitcoms that heavily rely on the background music to set or mask the tone of the scene, Schitt's Creek opts for a minimalist approach. Background music is not used very much, allowing scenes to unfold with raw authenticity, like a mockumentary-style sitcom. The only instances of music in Schitt's Creek are when the music punctuates the transitions, which is always reminiscent of the theme. This deliberate choice enhances the show's intimate and character-driven storytelling, emphasizing the authenticity of the characters' experiences and the organic humor that arises in their interactions and situations. I'd also like to talk about in Schitt's Creek, in the actual finale episode, they are waving goodbye to Moira and Johnny as they get into the car to leave Schitt's Creek for good. What you'd think is like going to be the outro music starts to play. That's very reminiscent of the theme song. Then Johnny asked for the driver to stop the car so that he can look back at the Schitt's Creek sign, and the music stops. I think that this choice is very interesting because since they never really used background music ever before, it's starting to make you feel like the show is actually coming to an end. It gives a moment for the viewer to say goodbye to the characters, and then the actual finale song starts playing. In conclusion, the analysis of American sitcoms in the 21st century reveals a nuanced relationship between music and narrative, highlighting its role in shaping viewer engagement and perception. Throughout the exploration of theme songs, transition music, and background music, it becomes evident that music is a very important tool and plays a very important role in these sitcoms. TV sitcom theme songs serve as portraits of the show's universe, encapsulating its essence and characters in musical form. Whether through quirky melodies or ensemble compositions, theme songs provide a gateway for viewers to immerse themselves in the show. In the realm of transition and background music, a clear distinction is made between mockumentary style and traditional sitcoms. Mockumentaries often avoid background music, amplifying the sense of realism and connection to the characters' everyday lives. In contrast, traditional sitcoms utilize background music to maintain a comfortable distance from the characters' emotions. The absence of music in mockumentaries enhance the sense of authenticity, while the presence of music in traditional sitcoms serves to uphold a sense of comfort and familiarity for the viewers. So next time you watch your favorite sitcom, maybe take 30 seconds out of your day to listen to the theme song and not press the skip intro button so you can become fully immersed in the show before you start watching it. If I left out a show that fits in this category of 21st century American sitcoms and you have comments about that or questions about that, leave a comment because I'd love to hear your opinion and I'd love to hear your input on this topic. So, yeah. Bye!